Hello and welcome back to another installment of Poke Fodder. And if you want to know my opinions on the team event, or not the tournament that we just had, and I'm going to very loosely say tournament, and I'm only going to use the word tournament because that's what the developers called it, was a tournament. I did a brief live stream this morning. It was pretty epically bad as far as my rolls go. Like, even for me, they were really bad. So if you want to get some laughs out of it and my thoughts and opinions on the tournament, check out the live stream that I did earlier. I will try to put a link here for that. But during my live stream, as you saw at the beginning of this video, a viewer requested me to talk about, and I think it's Tavolt. He's on my Discord, but he's not the first one to run a Gothitelle deck. A Gothitelle deck has been around for a while, actually. It just hasn't really been popular, and it has gained a little bit of a resurgence. I believe Rico is live streaming today, and so you might be getting a double dose of this, because Rico in my live stream talked about he was going to toy around with this deck as well. But it's gaining some traction, so I feel like I want to cover it. And as you saw earlier, one of my subscribers / viewers to my YouTube channel requested that I spotlight this deck, and I couldn't do it during the live stream because simply I didn't know. A, I didn't know what the deck was. B, I didn't know if I had all the figures. And C, I needed to, once I had all the figures, I needed to invest in them a little bit. But here is the deck and a little bit of the background. And I apologize if I'm getting his name right, but I believe it's Tavolt, T-A-V-O-L-T, Tavolt is what I believe it is on my Discord. And he took this deck here up to like almost 4,200. I want to say something like 23 wins in a row, so it can win. And in case you don't remember, and if you don't remember, no one's really going to blame you, because you just don't see Gothitelle that often. But Gothitelle is a psychic type 2 MP with no abilities. If we look at its wheel, mine is level 5, so kind of take that into consideration. The 4 levels that I've put into this to get it to level 5 all went into square attack. So as you can see, square attack starts at 24, and your miss starts at a whopping 16. It has a 28 wheel slice of psychic that starts at 70. Mine is a 28 wheel slice of 2-star purple squared attack. If there are Pokemon at 3 entry points, switch this Pokemon with another Pokemon on the field. A 28 wheel slice of Psybeam that hits for 50. If this Pokemon is knocked out, the battle opponent becomes confused. And then the miss that starts at 16, I have it down to 12. And I will say, I do believe that this deck performs better at level 10. A lot of times, I feel like Carmonite isn't all that necessary on some figures. Like, if you're removing a miss, you can't even move a miss completely with Carmonite. But if you're taking a miss from like 8 to 4, that's a good use of Carmonite. Something like Sceptile or Mew, I just don't really think it's worth it. Something like Lunala, like my Lunala is not level 10 because it already has just the 4 miss. I can't do any better. So I don't necessarily know that Carmonite is a great investment in those figures. Other people will disagree with me, and that's fine. You are free to disagree. I'm just stating my opinion here. I'm not even going to argue and say that you're wrong. I'm saying, in my opinion, they don't need it. But a figure like Gothitelle, it really does need the 5 additional levels, because really, this figure's bread and butter is the squared attack. You really don't want to roll Psychic. I mean, 74 is not knocking out anything. Psybeam is okay because at least you're going to confuse your opponent. But really, the only reason why you're running this figure is for the squared attack, and that miss is huge at 12. You're going to be able to take that down to 7, significantly better. Looking at the other elements of the deck, you have the Cosmog, you have this isn't the right deck. This is my Nebby deck. Hold on. I think I have the right deck set on the home screen, but here we go. It's got the Zoroark. You guys know that I think Zoroark is absolute garbage, but the ability to pull it off the bench and swap out for a more favorable matchup is good. I think Zoro, honestly, is one of the worst EX figures. I really do. I really think it is that bad. And you can give me a whole list of, 5 other figures that are worse than Zoro, and you're probably right. There are definitely 5 figures worse. But for as much as Zoro is the worst EX that's run consistently. How about that? So Zoro's in there only to protect Deoxys speed, and I'll just go over. Lunala, Tapu Lele, you've got your Cosmog. What you want to do is you want to hold 3 entry points some way, somehow, between you and your opponent. You're going to set it up by the teleport cheese. So your opponent's going to have to respect the cheese and put a figure on their goal, because surrounding it doesn't work because Cosmog can't be surrounded. So they're going to have to hold a figure on goal. Well, if you hold a figure on goal, then you can get squared attack. So now you have to hold 3 figures on goal. And the point of this deck is to create a lot of different win conditions. Dio Speed is there to apply pressure. Tapu Lele is there because that'll make your Gothitelle squared attack on when you are attacking 3 stars. That's pretty important because 3 stars is significantly better than 2 stars. It also helps your Lunala become a 3-star Moongeist Beam, which is always nice. It helps with Nebby's Power, which we don't have any of the evolutions set, but Nebby's Power can also bring back a figure from Ultra Space, and then you have your Speed form that is just to apply pressure. Now, having said all of that, the deck has obviously been proven to be successful. However, I don't like the deck as it's built here, and I know there are other builds. They involve Lococodio, and Torterra to hold down entry points. I don't necessarily know that that is better. Earthquake is such a killer move, especially when you have as much miss as this deck is holding and representing. But this is the deck that they have built. And let me tell you why. Even though it has been proven to be successful, here's why I don't like it. When Gothitelle gets knocked out, and we've already shown that it's not super strong. Max Revive, double chance, because we are going for the squared attack cheese. Pokemon Switch helps protect some of your figures from gold attackers, and then you have Long Throw to help against rush decks or just to get figures back up on the board. But what I don't like about this deck is, I don't like Zoro, and if Gothitelle gets knocked out, and once you swap out, so you're going to rush speed up the inside lane to threaten goal early, they're probably going to come out and try to knock it out. When they do, you're probably going to swap out into Zoro because Dio Speed isn't really going to knock out anything. And then you've got this Deoxys Speed form that is pretty much worthless. Now at level 10, it will have 17 dodge, and that is better. But, I mean, aside from the rolling into miss, you're not attacking anything with DOS unless you're trying to cycle it out. I just think that you can get yourself caught in a predicament with this deck where you don't really have anything strong on the board, and you're going to find yourself having to cycle through Mons. And I don't like that there's not a goal block, because the point of this deck is to extend yourself out onto the perimeters. If you do that, you're going to have a hard time covering your own goal. Deoxys Speed can do it, but you don't even have a scoop up to scoop up and do the 4 MP to the goal. Now, having said all that, that is strictly my opinion. Like I have said, the deck has been successful up to almost 4,200. I think there are better builds, but we will run it as is. And I promise I will give my very best effort when running this deck, despite my biases. How about that? Okay, so we have our opponent. Let's see who we are going to be going up against. And we're gonna PDW Weekend Ones deck. An electric deck here. I saw 2 Xurkitries, Ampharos, is that Shiny Jolteon? Solid. And Tapu Koko. My opponent's gonna go first. XP double chance, 2 Amphorosites. Our goal here is to secure entry points. That is solely what we're doing. They do not have a max revive. They do not have a long throw. They do not have a goal block. All right. So let's see how this works out for us. Right now we are threatening goal. They could bring Jolteon to right here if they chose. And since that's what they did, I'm just going to go ahead and take over the entry point. I kind of dig that Jolteon. Wow, they made it C level 10 and level 10 as a shiny. I don't have a shiny Jolteon. The next thing that we're going to do is we are going to bring out our Cosmog. I went through and reallocated its wheel, put it all into the teleport. In case you were wondering, because you want to keep your teleport cheese as an option of victory. I don't really see a reason not to just slide up 1 here. I can't be surrounded. He could put his Koko here. If so, then I would probably, I don't know what. Put Tapu Lele maybe, I don't know, maybe put Zoro right there. That might be the better option. Let's see what he wants to do. I think Koko right there is his best move. My opponent disagrees. And what you want to do is you don't want to use your double chance unless it's a win condition. I have a win condition here, and I'm going to go for the figure that does not have the gold. And there is teleport. That is good enough for the victory. So rule number 1 in Pokefodder's world, and I've said this before, but rule number 1, I think I'm up to 4 rules, and I don't remember all the rules, nor do I remember the order that they are in. But rule number 1 is, when your opponent has Cosmog, and this goes for Ghastly as well, but when your opponent has Cosmog in their deck, as soon as Cosmog comes on the board, you need to put a figure on top of your goal. That's the rule. And it works for Ghastly too, because they can't be surrounded. So here we have Feeny BB with an Ultra Beast deck. Interesting. Let's see how the Gothitelle, and Gothitelle didn't even make it out. Like I've said in the video on Tapu Fini a day or 2 ago, I'm going to start off with Cosmog to the entry point. I try my best, but I have to still play the game. I wouldn't be doing you guys any justice if a situation came up and I just used a figure for the sake of using that figure and the game didn't actually warrant using that figure. I'm gonna go ahead and take that. He's not gonna get knocked out, but I now have 1 figure on an entry point, and I'm threatening the goal. My opponent running all kinds of double chance, Gold Block, Metal Sphere, and Max Revive. I'm going to slide on over, which is going to force him to put a figure on his entry point. There was no hurdle jump, so I'm actually going to take this figure off of my entry point because I don't want him having access to my goal. And that is going, and that's why I don't like Deoxys speed in this deck, is once I do the swap out, like, speed is a wasted figure. I don't know, it is not going to do anything for you. It's going to get knocked out. Maybe I should have taken speed over to here, because then, I don't know. I don't know. If I'd taken speed over there, we're looking for the teleport. No, we're not, and we're just going to lose that roll completely. All right, so far, we've not... This is a totally different game than the last one that we did, where we can't get any solid rolls here. I'm gonna slide up here. There is no hurdle jump. I don't know what my opponent does here. Probably moves for Pheromosa up to here. And then I don't know what I do after that. Which my opponent would hurry up and make a decision. This is the other thing about this deck, is it is really difficult to play against. And you're going to find that your opponents take a lot of time thinking about what plays they want to make. So you will find that probably not this long. This is a bit excessive, probably. This looks like a good time to bring Gothitelle out. Now my opponent could have tried to rock, and here we go. So I have, if you notice, I have 1, 2 corners covered. I'm going to slide my Gothitelle over to cover the third corner. At the same time, I'm going to double chance. If I land squared attack, that is good game. That is how this deck is supposed to work. Now, let's see if I can get the roll to get it to work. Like I said, we are looking for squared attack. We do not need to redo that. And now, as you can see, I'm going to take my Gothitelle, and I'm going to switch it with Tapu Koko for the easy cheesy victory. And there you go. I'm not going to play another one because I feel like you have seen everything that I can show you about how this deck works and the different win conditions that it has. It has the teleport cheese with the Cosmog. It has the covered entry points for the squared attack. And that really is what you're looking for with this deck. Let me know what you guys think. Do you like the deck? Is this something that you can see yourself running? I definitely would advise running Gothitelle with level 10 Carmonite in it. Chain levels, I don't know if they really matter as much, but the 10 Carmonite is kind of a big deal. Let me know in the comments below, and until next time.